The coronation of Charles III is going to show Britain at its best and prove all the doubters wrong about Brexit, James Cleverly has predicted. As a new MP in 2016, Mr. Cleverly was told his political career was over when he announced he would back leave. But now he is running Britain's foreign policy and will play a major role in what could be the biggest ceremonial event in a lifetime. Mr. Cleverly spoke exclusively to the Daily Express at the G7 summit in Karuizawa in Japan after he had played a central role on leading the response by the world's biggest democracies to Ukraine, climate change, Africa, and the Chinese threat to Taiwan. He said that the doubters have been proven wrong about Brexit and he has no regrets about his early support for leaving the EU. Adding, "I absolutely stand by my support for Brexit." Recalling the dramatic days not long after he was elected in 2015 as David Cameron tried to renegotiate Britain's membership of the EU, he said, "Me and Marie Trevelyan and some others wrote an open letter in January 2016 basically saying we have seen what Cameron is asking for, we don't think he is asking for enough and therefore we will be campaigning for Brexit." Laughing, he added, "I remember somebody telling me that my political career was over and now I'm Foreign Secretary, so I like to think that prediction was not right." Mr. Cleverly was not the only newly elected MP to take a principled gamble on his career in 2016 to back leave. He was joined by the new MP for Richmond in Yorkshire, Rishi Sunak. It was a scary move at the time. The Prime Minister again had been an MP like me for less than a year and he came out to support Brexit as I and others did at the start of our political careers rather than midway through or in some cases the back end of political careers, and that was a massive risk. But I felt it was the right thing to do. He felt it was the right thing to do, and the fact is now we have got a brilliant relationship with the FRE. As a Brexiteer I always said, and it sounded like a cliché, we are not leaving Europe, we are leaving this formal institution. We are still going to be engaged in defense policy, trade, in terms of people to people, but what we are not going to be doing is writing these big subscription checks to an organization that we don't feel is working for us. When we said we are not leaving Europe, a lot of people in the EU and capital cities were saying yes you are. You are rejecting everything we believe in, and you are going to be turning into some nasty snarling little place somewhere in the Atlantic. What has happened now rolling for 5-6 years they realize we are still very engaged. And we are working with them, and we are still a good defense and trade partner and much more. They are still not happy about it, but they have realized the thing they feared has not actually come to pass. It was noticeable that Mr. Cleverly has struck particularly good relationships with French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna and his German counterpart Annalena Baerbock, who despite being a Green has been a key supporter of the UK's in pushing for Ukraine to be properly armed. Mr. Cleverly was made Foreign Secretary just 2 days after the Queen's death and his first week involved very little sleep as he led the arrangements to greet the world's leaders who descended on London for the funeral. But Mr. Cleverly said he is still receiving feedback from world leaders for the event 6 months ago saying, it showed Britain at its best. Now, even as he completes a tour of Commonwealth countries in the South Pacific, his mind is focusing on the next big event just weeks away with King Charles's coronation on May 6 of the late Queen Elizabeth's funeral. He said that visitors were impressed by the pomp and pageantry, which I think we do better than anyone else in the world. So, we got the tone right, sensitivity right, he added. We hadn't had to do that in most PEOP.